Hey, can you hear me? I'm going to do what Robby does on the EGI. I'm going to do a closing thought. When I was 15 years old, my parents said I could go on a ski trip with a close friend of mine. I was very excited because I love cold, I love snow, and I love big snowy mountains, so I was overjoyed. Now, at this mountain, they had something a little different. They had something called a T-bar. A T-bar, that's a kind of chairlift, but it's a little different. So a T-bar works, you and a friend sit on a piece of metal that is shaped like an upside-down T, and it pulls you up the mountain. A normal chairlift, you fly in the sky in the chairlift, but a T-bar scoops under your butt, and it pulls you up the mountain on the ground. So essentially, you're skiing up the mountain. Does that make any sense? Now, before you get on the T-bar, they say, don't get off the T-bar until you're at the top of the mountain. It's very important, but they don't tell you why. Now, at various points, the ground and the T-bar wire are far away from each other, and when the ground is low, it puts a lot of tension on the T-bar, and it becomes spring-loaded, okay? Now, sometimes you can have a friend who is a bad influence on you. You can have a friend who tells you to do something that maybe you shouldn't do. My friend, while we were riding on the T-bar, noticed some older boys a couple T's up ahead, and he said, look how cool those boys are. Because these boys were getting off the T-bar early, and he said, that's so cool, we should get off the T-bar early, and then maybe we can be cool like those cool boys. Well, my friend got off the T-bar, and it made the T uneven, a little askew. So when I tried to get off the T-bar, I didn't realize it was spring-loaded because we were at a particular low point in the mountain. This T-bar shot up and caught my jacket up in the T, and it pulled my jacket up by my arm. And I was struggling to free the jacket from the T-bar. I guess my skis must have crossed because I tripped and I fell, and I was being dragged up the mountain. Now, at this point, the T-bar had pulled my jacket and my shirt up around my neck and head, blinding me and exposing my soft belly to the icy, cold ground. Not good. The friction from the mountain pulling against my body has worked its way on my pants. It made my pants and my underpants pull down around my big ski boots, exposing my wiener and my butt. Not good. I was being dragged up a large, looming, mountainous peak. Freezing, cold, rocks scraping my little body. And I couldn't see anything because my shirt and jacket had, surrounded my head. But I could hear, and what I heard were people talking about me. Who's that boy? What's happening to him? He's weird. That's not right. I also heard the sound of a loud churning gear. Cha-chunk, 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 getting louder and louder. This was the mechanism that pulled the T-bar up the mountain. I knew that at any moment my small body was going to be pulled into this big mechanical gear and crushed and torn apart. I could hear voices screaming, he's going to die. I accepted death because I knew it was coming quick, louder and louder. And then suddenly, the sound of the gear came to a stop. One of those kind of ka-chunk sounds, that when a machine turns off. A young man who worked at the ski mountain rushed over to me and freed me from the T-bar. He untangled my shirt and turned me over to make sure I was okay. And what he found was a freezing cold body, bloodied and naked. But I was alive. I put my coat and shirt down and pulled up my pants, and I saw a crowd of skiers had gathered to watch what had happened to me. And I was dazed and confused, but I saw in the distance a figure I recognized. It was my friend. He had taken off his skis and ran up the mountain. He wanted to see me. When my eyes focused, I found he was laughing at me. Ha ha ha! Hysterical laughing, and he was pointing like this. Look at you! Ha 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 ha! That was probably the coldest I've ever been. Sometimes you learn something about being cold, and sometimes you learn something about friendship. The opening hours of Red Dead Redemption 2 are spent trudging through thick snow as Arthur Morgan with his friend, Dutch Vanderlyn. This is, in my opinion, the worst part of the game. It's not fun, you can't skip it, and I wish you could because it sucks. This has been